And our guests today come from, well, AARP, and it don't get no better than that. Marilyn Blackmon and Wayne Blackmon, both are AARP Fraud Fighters. I expected a cape when I first heard about this.
No, we don't have any capes.
No
we
capes?
have nice shirts, though.
No capes and no types. Tell me, I have an inkling here of what a fraud fighter is, but how in the world do you do it? How do you fight fraud? It's too big a problem.
Well, like any large problem, we break it down into segments that need to be understood and challenged. Fraud is complicated today. Fraudsters have a tremendous advantage over the average person because if they're just a little bit more savvy on the computer, they can get into our homes, our lives, and our bank accounts. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing we need to do is to understand what kind of fraud is happening today, both complex and simple. One of the reasons Marilyn and I volunteer for the AARP Fraud Watch Network is because the most vulnerable thing that happens to people as they become older, especially if they live alone, is that they are taken advantage of by people who want their money.
And we hear those nightmares day in and day out.
So exactly, and I think you were sharing with me that even you have recently been confronted with a situation.
I'm going to show you that in just a minute.
And how people try to get into your lives and in your wallet. So we have some advice on how that happens. There are over 400,000 members of the AARP in Oklahoma alone, in Tulsa and surrounding areas, Oklahoma City, the entire state. 400,000 persons. All of these individuals, by the way, are older than 50 because that is the simple requirement to join the AARP. And we address many needs of people as they move into their older years. And as we study our membership and as we study our communities, we realize that the dangers to older people shift and change as time goes on. And a few years ago, we discovered that the most vulnerable thing that happened to seniors is this fraud that happens. Now, I will go out to an organization, make a presentation on some recommendations that we have about getting out of the target range of a fraudster. And slowly as the meeting goes on, someone will go, you know, I'm asking for someone else, but they lost all the money.
Sure they are.
Exactly.
Sure they are.
Exactly. They lost all the money in their checking account. And so the first thing is good information, right? So in fighting fraud, we need to know what's happening. We need to know who's doing it. And so at your computer and every other computer is this wonderful place called the Fraud Watch Network. You can go on, and there you can go to the state of Oklahoma. And in the state of Oklahoma, you can see a map and region by region see what kind of frauds have been reported to the authorities and how they are impacting people in those small and defined neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And then broaden out as much as statewide and nationwide.
All right, let me interrupt you for just a minute, Wayne, because I need to bring your wife into this. She's sitting here going to sleep, and we need to stop that.
Yeah, it's easy when I talk.
You're also on the board, and did he bring you into this?
Well, we both joined together, and he is on the board, and I just like to volunteer. One of my favorite things to do is to be out at events and to meet people and check them in and talk to them and kind of give them information about all of the great opportunities and information that's available at aarp.org.
Seems to me like I remember my grandmother many years ago said, you don't get something for nothing. And if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Is that still applicable today?
Probably, but maybe not. AARP provides most of the information, or all of the information, to people at no charge, and you don't even have to be a member to get into the
AARP. I meant the offers that the elderly are getting.
Yes, that's true.
If
yes,
it sounds
it's
too
easy.
good to be true, it probably is.
That's probably true. Yes.
Before we started taping today, my iPhone dinged, which is a pretty secure little unit, little computer, and I checked it, and it said, "Hey, congratulations," which always makes me suspect. And you have won a surprise gift, you know, just by participating in this Walmart survey. And I thought, well, there's nobody around, I'll check it out. I checked into it, I started going into it. They already had my email address. What's it gonna hurt? They're not getting the password. So I opened it. I looked at it. They wanted more information and more information. Oh, it says you just won a $1,000 gift card. Now I know something's right. Something's right, and rotten in Denmark. What am I dealing with, and how do I find out the truth?
Well, I can help answer that, and that is you're probably dealing with a very well-organized and computer-powerful offshore enterprise. They understand the digital world, and they understand the process of walking you through a series of revelations about your life, and so you actually almost have no armament against them. So you're dealing with high levels of organized crime. We have found that as people report various scams that have been presented to them, and by the way, I received that, I received many other ones, the more widely use you have of the internet, the more likely and vulnerable you are.
And chances are Walmart's nowhere, anywhere involved.
So there's an act of theft here that you've identified, and that is that organized thieves steal the identity of who they are. They represent churches, veterans organizations, Walmart, banks. They go into the internet and just steal a logo off of one site and put it on the other. And they say, I'm here from Bank of America, and I need to clear up a few things about your account, taking a chance on a huge bank that they might run into you. So the first thing that you are right, go back to Grandma. Don't trust anyone until you know otherwise.
Well, fortunately, I didn't give out any compromising information.
Correct.
I may have danced with the devil when I opened it, but I cut short the music, and I'm not a good dancer.
Right. But let me tell you something you did do by answering that call and responding. You went into a giant database and you moved from stranger to sucker by merely responding to their inquiry. And the farther you stay in those interviews with them,
The bigger sucker you become.
the bigger badge you get to become. Yeah. So you should expect more of this kind of contact because of that.
So what I need to do is to go in now and block them.
No, what you need to do, because they don't even listen to that, what you need to do is not do that anymore. And I don't mean to be your grandma's spokesman.
That's fine.
But the fact is, the minute we take offers like this, even for simple contact, they are going through a process of narrowing down candidates. And if you'll just stop doing that, this will eventually go away. You undoubtedly receive unsolicited phone calls. The best thing we recommend to people who do not know who's calling them is don't answer the phone. Even if you say in the phone, which is probably a robocall anyway and not a person, take me off your list. The fact is, the lock on the front door to our lives has been ripped off by professionals.
Oh, I know. And you know what's amazing to me is all of the folk in my age group that we know, everybody has been hit with robocalls repeatedly in spite of what the state tells us. Oh, we've put things in place, you know, this is going to stop.
Right,
It's
the do
gonna
not
stop.
call us.
It's not going to stop.
Well, it might.
And they've got this huge wheel, if you can envision something, and it just continues to turn, and it finds numbers, and it will find you, it'll get you, and it does.
Right.
And I think, you know, given the time of year we're in, the political season, or some call it silly season, when you're trying to make a decision on a candidate, and you start to get calls now from survey folk and all that, you don't know who's real anymore. And so we just don't answer any of them, you know, for that. What's the strangest one you've encountered?
The strangest one I encounter is if you're on social media and looking at a news article. Sometimes all of a sudden the news article goes away and up pops something that says you have won. And there's no way to get off that screen at all unless you really swipe it off your phone or restart your computer or something like that.
So they're playing a very sophisticated game
They
now.
are.
We have about 1 minute. I hate to just refer everybody to AARP because I don't think it's fair to AARP. But is that the best course of action to take? If they have questions, call AARP?
I think so.
Yes, and calling either our state numbers or calling or going online to aarp.org/OK.
Fraud Watch Network, too.
You will find your way, and we want you to call and inquire and ask. Every contact you make with us is protected by privacy, and we've taken on this cause of protecting seniors from fraud to heart. So we're very grateful that you've allowed us to chat with you here for these few minutes. But the best contact is to get online and go to aarp.org.
I might recommend to you to take this message back. Since you're on the board, I would hire a group of, say, 10 or 15 high school age kids and bring them in to keep you guys posted on the latest computer and phone developments. I'm telling you what, my granddaughters know, oh, give me that, Granddaddy. I can, there it is.
It's right.
Oh, I feel so, vulnerable. Hey, thank you guys for coming by.
Thank you.
Thanks for
having us.
including us in the conversation.
Maybe we'll do some more sometime, okay?
Hope we can.
All right. We'll be back with more on economic development in Oklahoma right after this.